Some Starbucks mugs are being recalled. Are yours safe? Find out later in the show.
Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is ntTV Nightly News.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us on ntTV Nightly News. I'm Sebastian Nava.
And I'm Ben Wolf. 3 people dead, more than 1 million acres burned to ash, thousands of cattle killed, and more than $1 billion in damage, all part of a recent wildfire in the Texas Panhandle. The fires raged for days, fueled by drought and high winds. Firefighters were called in from across the nation to help battle the multiple fires that spread throughout the Panhandle. The son of one elderly woman who died in that fire has now filed a negligence lawsuit against the utility companies, which have said their facilities may have played a part in causing the fires. A series of other lawsuits have also been filed by ranchers and homeowners. This was the largest and most destructive wildfire in Texas history. But Texas isn't the only state plagued by deadly fires. California faces massive forest fires each year. Andrew Haubner has more on a new mapping technology that could help identify and fight these fires this coming summer.
It's a training day at McClellan Airfield.
There are planes that are flying over the sky. They typically have been the only ones in the past that have had the complete overall picture.
As pilots prepare for the summer ahead. These planes are OV-10s, typically used as air command.
Where the fire is actually currently located is always kind of a mystery to the IC because they may not have the full big picture.
But in the last decade, these types of planes have bridged the gap between the air and the ground. It's called the FIRUS program.
Now we're able to image the fire and then get that down to our IC so they can actually see the entire picture of that fire, along with the same thing with the troops on the ground.
Jeff Marshall is the assistant chief of FIRUS.
We're able to produce a faster, more accurate product down to our incident commanders.
So how does it work? Up in the air, a tech like Jordan Wilson uses this controller to control a camera.
We have the ability, we have a eye-safe laser on that gives really accurate location. So if we need a lat long for a spot fire, we can use that laser to get a distance and location really accurately.
Those images are then taken and sent down to the ground. This year, that'll change.
And this year we'll be able to have full motion video, and we'll be able to push that out to our troops on the ground also.
Which helps the public, as these maps and images are available online.
Which then actually allow better decision making for better resource allocation for our ground resources, saving the public money, and actually more efficient evacuations for the public because they can make those decisions in a much faster, rapid manner.
All to keep people safer and more up to date in the ever-changing fire season in California.
Well, let's hope that new technology makes its way to Texas for our next fire season.
Yeah, well, if only we could avoid those droughts.
Well, Ben, you are so right about the drought. About half of Texas is still experiencing drought, even with all of the rain we've had these past few weeks. But we might have some better news ahead of us. While it may not seem like it in some parts of the country right now, the outlook of spring is a warm and wet one. NOAA released its spring prediction Thursday, calling for warmer conditions for most of the U.S. and wetter conditions in the southeast. Above average temperatures for most of the continental U.S. and Alaska are expected for April through June. Meanwhile, there is a longer than average flood risk across the entire country due to the historically low winter snow coverage across much of the northern Great Plains and western U.S. However, the Missouri and Arkansas River basins could see some moderate flooding this spring. Now here in Texas, it doesn't look like we're going to have any flooding, but let's take a look at the first weather to see where we are headed. So for our first look at weather today, we have a current temperature of 63, and it does feel like 63. We are having a pretty gloomy and rainy day outside, so you might want to bring your jacket anywhere if you are planning on leaving your house. The wind speeds are going to be 10 miles per hour. Let's see what tomorrow is looking like. So for tomorrow, we are going to have another rainy, dreary day. The actual temperature will be 61. It will feel like 61, and the wind speeds are going to be 9 miles per hour. This is for tonight's forecast. But let's see what tomorrow is looking like. So tomorrow it will clear up just a little bit. It will be partly cloudy. The actual temperature will be 70 degrees and it will feel like 69. The wind speeds are going to be 11 miles per hour. That's all I have for today's first look weather. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Grace. It's being called whiplash, state and federal flip-flopping over the controversial Texas immigration bill. Senate Bill 4 has led to widespread confusion at the Texas-Mexico border. With the bill back on hold, how will it be enforced if it's made law? In El Paso, CNN's Ed Lavandera spoke with the Texans most likely to be impacted by the controversial bill.
On El Paso's downtown streets, newly arrived migrants blend in, police on patrol. The future of the controversial Texas immigration law looms over these daily street scenes. Some residents, like Elizabeth Ponce de Leon, shrug off the concern about being asked to prove she's a U.S. citizen.
If they ask me, where are you from? I don't care, it doesn't bother me, because I know I'm legal and I'm not doing anything wrong.
I'm just on edge more.
28-year-old El Paso resident Diego Carlos fears the new law will mean he and his family will be open to constant questions and harassment.
I'm like, all the time, I'm like looking over my shoulder. But the DPS officers, those are the ones like, you know, my hair stands up on the back of my neck whenever I see those black and white trucks.
The fate of the Texas immigration law known as Senate Bill 4 or SB 4 is being hashed out in federal court. During oral arguments in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals today, Texas officials argued the law should go into effect while the legal challenge plays out in federal court.
Texas has decided that we are at the epicenter of this crisis. We are on the front line, and we are going to do something about it.
This law would give local law enforcement officers the ability to arrest migrants suspected of entering Texas illegally and allow state judges to deport migrants to Mexico. But one of the judges voiced confusion over how the law would work, confusion partially echoed by the attorney representing Texas.
I was just trying to envision how this all plays out. A couple other things, just because I'm not sure I understand the law totally. So what if someone enters in, let's say, from Mexico into Arizona and lives there for 5 years, then moves to Texas? Are they covered?
I don't know the answer.
That confusion and skepticism is a common theme expressed by law enforcement agencies across the state. The Laredo police chief says his officers will not focus on arresting undocumented migrants.
It can be just by seeing somebody and the officer thinking that he's not from here and then asking for documents. It doesn't work like that.
The sheriff in San Antonio says he would require deputies to file a report explaining the circumstances of an undocumented migrant's arrest.
We don't want a deputy that thinks that they have authorities that actually don't exist, crossing the line over into racial profiling and getting themselves and the agency in a whole lot of trouble for, again, a misdemeanor.
In El Paso, sheriff's officials say they don't have the manpower and don't want their deputies thrust into a fight between Texas Republican leaders and the Biden administration.
This issue could quickly exhaust those resources for our community and cause extended response times, absences in patrol areas.
And tonight, still no movement by the federal courts on this issue.
Don't you just love this time of year for basketball? I mean, with the magic of March Madness and making your brackets, it's impossible not to get involved.
Yeah, right now it's more like basketball heaven for our basketball fans, especially with our own Mean Green women's team about to take on TCU right now.
Yeah, that's right. Our live reporter, Drew Maurer, actually is out in Fort Worth, where we're hoping to see our Mean Green continue to make history. How's it going out there, Drew?
That's right, guys. I'm out here in Fort Worth at Schollmeyer Arena as the UNT women's basketball team gets ready to extend their postseason quest. They'll be taking on the TCU Horned Frogs in the Women's Basketball Invitational Tournament first round for the first appearance ever. And a lot of firsts for the Mean Green this season. Head coach Jason Burton exceeded the win mark for the UNT Mean Green as they extended it to 22 wins and 7 losses. They also tied for Tulsa with the American Athletic Conference regular season champs, and unfortunately they couldn't replicate that success in the tournament, the conference tournament, losing in the quarterfinals to Rice. But tonight they'll be looking to make that up and bring home some more hardware. Well, for now, I'll send it back to the desk, but be ready for a big matchup that I'll be previewing later on in the show. Guys?
Well, thanks for that update, Drew. After the break, we'll give you more info on the upcoming Eclipse and where you can watch it.
And media arts students, get your resumes and business cards ready. We'll tell you why. The upcoming total solar eclipse will not impact the Texas power grid's reliability. At noon on April 8th, the moon will completely cover the sun for about 3 hours, causing visibility issues for Texas solar panels. ERCOT, the organization that regulates the power grid in Texas, stated there will be a significant decrease in power production. From noon to 1 p.m., the total eclipse will cause a drop in solar energy generation from 99.2% to about 7.6%. ERCOT has assured that Texans don't have to worry too much about power issues and can just focus on enjoying the rare event. But if you're like me and want to know where you can expect to see the eclipse, we'll have to turn it over to our reporter, Jackson Berry. Jackson, what can you tell us?
Okay, Dallas falls perfectly. Oh my God.
It falls perfectly within the path of totality, a path about 100 miles wide, where the shadow of the moon tracks along the Earth's surface. Falling within the path of totality is pretty rare, so people who fall within the path, like you and I, are very, very lucky. So make sure you're available from about noon to 3 p.m. because that's when the eclipse will be visible. Now, I know that the eclipse is very exciting, but please don't go outside and try to look at it with your naked eye. Make sure you're wearing proper eye protection like safe solar viewing glasses. Now, don't get these confused with regular old plain old sunglasses. They are not the same as eclipse glasses. During total solar eclipse, you must wear your eclipse glasses. Otherwise, you could do permanent damage to your eyes, and nobody wants that to happen. The only time you can remove your safety glasses is during a very short time when the moon completely obscures the sun. Now, if you have no clue where a good spot to view the eclipse is, don't worry. Our very own Valeria Herrera has a couple great spots here at UNT that you can view the spectacle. Valeria?
Thanks, Jackson. If you're still trying to figure out where to watch the solar eclipse, look no further and stay on campus. UNT will be hosting an astronomical variety of events leading up to the actual eclipse. Kicking off with the festivities with UNT's College of Science and their Totality Awesome Parties on Saturday, March 23rd and March 30th, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Environmental Education, Science, and Technology Building, where there will be planetarium shows, experience, and trivia games. On the actual day of the total solar eclipse on April 8th, both UNT campuses will be hosting the watch party of a lifetime. Both locations will have 100% totality, and I am totally going to RSVP to the Totality Awesome Party for the total solar eclipse. But in the meantime, our reporter Alexandria Teeters is with Dr. Zoe Ortiz to shed some light on the ancient history of the solar eclipse.
Thanks, Valeria. I'm here with Dr. Zoe Ortiz, a classical archaeologist and historian, to get some helpful information about the upcoming solar eclipse. Dr. Ortiz specializes in the ancient Mediterranean world and has completed impressive research about the significance of solar eclipses. Dr. Ortiz, what about the eclipse has piqued interest in people throughout history?
So one of the things about ancient eclipses and ancient history is that it was always something that needed to be understood because it's just so irregular, especially for people in that time where, of course, there's no TV or anything like that. So when it did occur, it was, for some people, the first time they've ever seen anything like it. So they needed to explain it. So really what it was an omen that needed to be understood. Either it was going to be a good thing or a bad thing. It wasn't always a bad thing, but it was often a bad thing. And so they would have people like priests or augurs in the Roman period who it was their job to interpret whether it was good or bad.
For sure. And what religious significance have eclipses held throughout history?
So because often they were considered to be bad omens or evil omens, it usually was meant to be something that needed to be understood so that maybe any kind of danger could be averted. So for example, the ancient Assyrians had this practice where they believed that an eclipse actually meant danger for their king. And so in order to protect their king, they would pick somebody, a commoner or sometimes like a convict, and they would make that person king. So that while their time of danger was around, the real king was safe. Unfortunately for that person, they were often executed after the time of danger, so when the eclipse passed. So certain instances like that really kind of demonstrate how evil an eclipse could be for certain ancient cultures.
Mm-hmm. And it's my knowledge that you have a presentation coming up. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's going to be a part of the Totality Awesome program, and it's on March 30th at 12:15 in the Environmental Science Building. I'll talk a lot about this sort of stuff and other kind of scientific approaches in the ancient world to the solar eclipse and to the skies.
All right, well, cool. That's all I have for you guys tonight, and back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Alexandria. Well, Ben, spring is always a weird time for me because one day it's, hot like summer, and then the next it feels just like fall.
Yeah, trust me, I know. 2 weeks ago I was begging for a water bottle, and now I'm grabbing my jackets again.
Well, let's toss it over to our weather anchor, Grace Grimes, who can help us prepare for our upcoming weather. Grace?
Thanks, guys. Today in North Texas, we do have a pretty dreary spring day. In the North Texas, we have temperatures of all in the 60s. In Denton, we have a temperature of 63. Gainesville, we have a temperature of 63. Over in McKinney, we have a temperature of 63. Sulphur Springs in Paris, Texas, we have temperatures of 66. All around, it's a usual spring day, a little bit dreary. Let's go to the regional map and see what the whole state's looking like. So all over the state, again, we have some normal spring temperatures in the 60s. Austin, we have a temperature of 66. Houston, we have a temperature of 65. Shreveport, we have a temperature of 62. So again, everyone is kind of feeling that spring weather. Bring a jacket if you think you will need one. Let's look at the rest of the week. So for the 7-day forecast, we do have a little bit of mix of weather here. On Friday, we do have a 70% chance of rain. Saturday, we should have a nicer day and the rain should clear up, but Sunday and Monday expect another dreary and gloomy day in North Texas. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the rain should clear up, and we do have a warmer day on Thursday with a high of 74 and a low of 50. That's all I have for today's weather. Back to you guys at the desk.
Grace? Well, if you're trying to kickstart your career in broadcast or media, we've got just the thing for you. UNT will be hosting their Career Kickstarter right here on campus. Our live reporter Landry Brady is on site to tell us all about it. Landry?
Thanks, Ben. If you're in the media arts or converged broadcast media programs, you might be interested in the Career Kickstarter event that's happening tomorrow in our union. Students will have the opportunity to talk one-on-one with media pros in a speed networking event and panel. The fields included in the event are news, radio, television, marketing, communications, film, production, and sports. Starting at 10 a.m., students get to be a part of an industry pro panel, followed by the speed networking event at 11. And I almost forgot to mention that there will be snacks included. So be sure to check out the kickoff of the Kickstarter event happening tomorrow in the Union in room 313. Now, back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Landry. Coming up, certain toys and mugs are being recalled. We'll tell you the story.
And have a chance to win some key items from a world-famous athletes. Find out how after the break.
Good evening, my name is Amanda Hasbell and I'm joining you here today in the Union parking garage. Today we're going to be going over how to drive safely in the parking garage. Let's go see. Oh my god, this girl just got hit by a car. Let's go see what happened. Man, are you okay? Did you see that lady hit me with a car? Yeah, we did. I got it all on video. Oh my God. Let's go over here and talk about how we can prevent that.
Yeah, not the hospital.
Well, right now we're gonna ask you a couple questions on how we can drive safely in the parking lot. What are ways that we can be aware of our surroundings?
Oh, we can look both ways.
Jenna, also, how about putting the distractions away?
Yes, just like our phones, turning our music down, and also not focusing on our passengers.
Where can you get information on how to get a parking pass?
Transportation.unt.edu.
If you park in a garage, make sure you pay on the app or look for further instructions on how you should pay.
And remember, no pass, no park. Let's all try to keep our Mean Green community safe.
Remember, we're all in this together.
Drive safe.
Watch your hands, Starbucks fans. Ceramic mugs that were part of the 2023 holiday collection of Starbucks merch have been recalled after at least a dozen reported injuries, including 9 reports of burns and blisters. According to the Consumer Product Safety Commission, microwaving the mugs or pouring hot liquid into them will cause them to overheat and even shatter. More than 440,000 gift sets, including the mugs, were sold over the holiday season. For more information, as well as how to claim a full refund, go to cpsc.gov. Another recall that parents need to know of due to choking hazards. Fisher-Price has recalled more than 200,000 Donald and Daisy Duck toys that have detachable heads. The CPSC says that there have been reported incidents of these head separations. No injuries have been announced, but consumers are advised to return the figures as a precaution.
Hey Ben, did I tell you that I bought 3 jerseys from my collection a few weeks ago?
Well, how about a Kobe Bryant jersey? I mean, not just any jersey, a game-worn NBA jersey.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. And I heard about this one place that has a lot of other memorabilia from other legendary athletes.
Yeah, that's right. Athletes like Muhammad Ali, Michael Jordan, and Kobe Bryant all have items that are being put up for auction at Smotby's Sports Week in New York next month. Items on sale include boxing trunks autographed by Muhammad Ali after the iconic Thrilla in Manila versus Joe Frazier, Michael Jordan's Air Jordan 13 shoes, and Kobe's jersey, which is expected to sell for over $2.5 million.
Bidding for the items will begin next Wednesday, March 27th, and will run through April 15th.
As a basketball fan, my favorite time of the year is March, especially now that UNT is back in the NIT.
Yeah, you're right. I'm starting to become a true Mean Green maniac myself. So let's actually head it over to our live reporter, Drew Maurer, who has an update for us from our UNT women's team. Drew, how's it going out there?
Yeah, that's right, guys. Tip-off is just around the corner here at Schollmeyer Arena. But for now, let's talk about another team that's been having success at UNT as well. The men's basketball team won on Tuesday night. Jordan, what do you have for us on that?
Speaking of tournaments, the UNT men's basketball team just finished their first round of the NIT. We'll provide you with the news after the break.
There's no harm in wanting to have fun while in college, but it's easy to lose track of how much you've had. Apps like Drink Control and Alkadroid can help keep track of your consumption and blood alcohol levels. If you or someone else does drink too much, the signs of alcohol poisoning are as follows: pale skin, vomiting, confusion, low body temperatures, irregular breathing, blacking out, and is hard to wake up or cannot be woken up.
Dude, are you okay? Hey, what's wrong? Wake up.
It's an exciting time of year, but it's important to be responsible. If you suspect someone is suffering from alcohol poisoning, get help immediately. You will not get in trouble for seeking help if you are underage. For more info and resources, go to UNT's Division of Student Affairs.
So a man's been walking in the desert for days at a time. He finally comes across a bar and orders a Coke.
That's not funny.
Eh? Eh?
The UNT softball team is red hot, winning 6 out of their last 7 games. I had a chance to visit the team to see how they plan to prepare for their next opponent.
The softball team just had one of their best performances this season. The team beat conference opponent University of Texas at San Antonio in 2 of their 3 visits. Head coach Rodney DeLong talks about the team's win and their approach moving forward.
Faced a little adversity and played pretty well through it. So proud of that, and now we got to move on to a good Tulsa team. It's playing good right now. 3 good pitchers. They got 4 or 5 kids in their lineup that are having the career best years. So definitely a team with some momentum. So to even win 1 game this weekend, we're going to have to play really well.
The Mean Green will play their next 3 home games against Tulsa, who is 19-8 on the season. Right-hand pitcher Skylar Savage talked about how they will prepare for the next few games.
You know, we're just going to continue to do what we're doing and attack the zone and expand and just trust our defense and trust our offense. I mean, it's a team game, so series at a really good spot in our conference, and I think we're both playing really well, so I think it's going to be a good series for the both of us.
The Mean Green will play conference opponent Tulsa this weekend at Lovelace Stadium. The UNT men's basketball team won the first round of the NIT tournament in a rematch against the LSU Tigers. The Mean Green defeated the LSU Tigers 84-77 with CJ Nolan as the leading scorer with 21 points. The Mean Green are now headed to New Jersey to face the #1 seeded Seton Hall on Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Now we're going to head back over to TCU, where ntTV's Drew Maurer has an update on what big player matchups we will see in tonight's women's basketball game against TCU.
Tip-off is just about 2 minutes away. UNT gets ready to contain Sedona Prince, who has been absolutely ridiculous this season. She transferred in from Oregon, to TCU from Oregon this season, and to say she's been lighting it up is quite the understatement. As you see on the graphic here, she's averaging 20 points, nearly 10 rebounds, and yeah, you're reading that right. 3 blocks a game. That is absurd, but it's nothing that Tamisha Lampkin, our star on the other end, cannot handle. She's been averaging some nice stats of her own in the paint. Now, guys, if you'll leave me be, I'm going to go watch this game here out at Fort Worth, but for now, I'll go ahead and send it back to the desk. I'd be remiss, though, if I didn't shout out a Mean Green. Go Mean Green, baby. If I didn't shout that out, I'd be remiss. Back to the desk, guys.
Thank you very much, Drew, and thank you for watching ntTV Nightly News.
Join us again next week right here on North Texas Television.